I want you to imagine this. You turn on Sunday Night Football and Steelers versus Ravens, an all-time classic. I would expect the Steelers to be up by a lot because of their sheer dominance over the Ravens historically, but that's beside the point. Now let's say George Pickens, aka the best receiver in the NFL of course, is running a choice route where based on the defensive coverage, he can choose either a post, a corner, or a streak. Right before Pickens chooses what route to run, he is in what we would call a superposition of states in quantum mechanics. I know, I just took a big jump from talking about George Pickens to talking about some crazy idea called quantum superposition. Let's break it down. So, before Pickens makes his break on the route, he has three options, right? A post, a corner, and a streak. Now let's just say that Coach Tomlin, who is the head coach of the Steelers by the way, tells Pickens, hey, I want you to run a post if you can. In this case, there is an 80% chance that Pickens runs a post, a 10% chance of a corner, and a 10% chance of a streak. Now these numbers are of course made up, but let's use it for this hypothetical. In quantum mechanics, we would call each of these possible routes quantum states. Alright, brace yourself for this. In quantum mechanics, technically all three routes are happening at the same time. Yeah, I know, this is where people start clicking off the video, but stick with me. In quantum mechanics, we would say that Pickens' route choice is in a combination of states, meaning that at this exact moment before he makes his break, he is in a quantum system where all three routes are simultaneously possible, with certain probabilities associated with each outcome. Now, famous scientist Niels Bohr and others proposed the Copenhagen interpretation. Now, what this says is that for a quantum system, it is in this superposition of states until it is observed. Once it's observed, it collapses into a basis state, and the basis state is the one that's typically the one that's most probable to happen. Now in this case, Pickens would observe the defensive scheme and decide what route to run. Let's assume that he chooses to run a corner route. The observation would be him deciding what route to run based on the defense. In this case, he would make his break on the route outwards towards the sideline, running a corner. Once Pickens makes his break, he is no longer in a superposition of three routes, but has rather collapsed the quantum system into one basis state, and that basis state is the corner route. Alright, I know that was a lot of quantum mechanics, but just take some time to think about that, because it's going to get a little more complicated from there. Now, for any of you who have watched football or watch football regularly, you know that the first route is often not what gets you open. So let's just assume that Pickens is not open after running his corner route. Now the pocket is collapsing, and the Steelers quarterback Justin Fields needs to roll out. So Fields steps up and rolls out right, keeping his eyes down to look for receivers. Now Pickens needs to adjust his position on the field to get open and help his quarterback. Since Fields rolled out right, Pickens is likely also going to shift right and come back towards Fields. In this quantum system, we would say that there's quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement refers to the idea that two features in a system are related, meaning that a change in one impacts the other. Now you can think of this like a telepathic connection among twins. A lot of people say that twins who are separated at birth have some sort of telepathic connection. Whether that's true or not, this is the idea of quantum entanglement. In this case, when Fields chooses to roll out right, it impacts Pickens' decision on where he should roll out, and he decides to roll out right to help his quarterback. And because of their direct relationship where one impacts the other, the features are considered entangled in this quantum system. Now, I'm going to do a much more deep dive onto quantum entanglement in a future video, so don't worry if you don't completely get that yet. I mean, that's all I had for you guys today in this video. But keep in mind, when I first started learning quantum, I really struggled, but football has always come much more easily to me, so I hope that this video helps some of you learn a little bit about quantum. But, I mean, honestly, if you take nothing else away from this video, just make sure that you remember that the Steelers will always own the Ravens, and the Steelers are going to be your 2025 Super Bowl champions. Thank you so much, and let me know what questions or feedback you have in the comments.